Welcome to my channel. Alright, so imagine this. You're scrolling, minding your own business, and then boom, Mazda finally pulls the cover off something a lot of us didn't even know we were waiting for. The 2026 Mazda Cx-20. And yeah, this one's interesting because it feels like Mazda is quietly turning a page here. Some people are already saying it's saying goodbye to that old-school Japanese and Italian-inspired sporty vibe and stepping into something more modern, more global, and honestly, more grown-up. At first glance, the Cx-20 looks instantly familiar, but also totally new. It still has that clean Mazda look we all recognize, but the shape is tighter, more confident. The front end looks sharper, almost like it's squinting at you with intent. The grille is wider but simpler, and the headlights are slimmer, giving it a more premium feel without trying too hard. It doesn't scream for attention, but the longer you look at it, the more it pulls you in. This is one of those designs that ages well instead of chasing trends. From the side, it's clearly compact, but it doesn't feel small. The body lines are smoother, less curvy than older models, and more athletic in a grounded way. It's not trying to be a sports car anymore, and it's not pretending to be an off-road monster either. It's like Mazda finally said, let's make something balanced. Even the rear end feels cleaner, with simpler tail lights and a more solid stance overall. Now, here's where things really start to change. The engine. Mazda is leaning hard into hybrid tech with the Cx-20, and honestly, it makes sense. The expected setup is a small, efficient hybrid system that focuses more on smoothness and everyday usability than raw power. This isn't about racing from stoplight to stoplight. It's about quiet starts, better fuel economy, and that effortless glide feeling in traffic. If you've driven a modern hybrid before, you know what I'm talking about. It just feels calmer. That said, it's still a Mazda, so it's not going to feel dull. The steering is expected to be light but precise, and the acceleration should be more than enough for city driving and highway merges. It's the kind of car that makes daily driving easier instead of more exciting in a stressful way. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what they want in 2026. One thing that surprised a lot of folks is that Mazda didn't completely ignore off-road capability. No, this isn't a hardcore trail crawler, but the Cx-20 is expected to offer all-wheel drive on certain trims, with better traction modes for rain, snow, and light dirt roads. Think weekend camping, muddy parking lots, gravel paths, stuff real people actually drive on. Slightly higher ground clearance than a typical hatchback means you won't be scraping everywhere, but it still stays easy to get in and out of. Now, inside, this is where you really feel that shift away from the old sporty identity. The cabin is calmer, more minimalist, and way more modern. Mazda's been on a roll with interiors lately, and the Cx-20 continues that trend. Soft touch materials where it matters, clean lines across the dashboard, and a layout that feels intentional instead of cluttered. The screen setup is larger and easier to read, but it's not just slapped on there like a tablet. It feels integrated, and the menus are designed to be simple. You don't need a tutorial to change the music or check your navigation. Physical buttons are still around for the important stuff, which is honestly a relief. The seats are more comfort-focused now, especially for longer drives, and there's more legroom in the back than you'd expect from a compact crossover. Cargo space also gets a nice bump compared to older Mazda compacts. Whether it's groceries, gym bags, or a small road trip setup, the Cx-20 feels more practical than flashy, and that's kind of the theme here. Even the sound insulation has been improved, making the cabin quieter at highway speeds. You really get the sense that Mazda wants this to feel like a daily companion, not just a fun weekend toy. Now, let's talk money, because that's where a lot of people will be paying attention. Pricing isn't officially locked in yet, but expectations are that the Cx-20 will come in at a very competitive starting point, likely just a bit higher than older entry-level Mazda crossovers because of the hybrid tech. Still, it should undercut a lot of rivals that offer similar features. As you move up trims, you'll get nicer materials, bigger wheels, all-wheel drive, and more tech, but even the higher-end versions are expected to stay reasonable. Compared to past Mazda models, especially older compact SUVs and hatchbacks, the Cx-20 feels like a clear evolution. It's less about chasing that old sporty Italian emotion and more about confidence, comfort and efficiency. And some enthusiasts might miss that old playful edge, but a lot of drivers are going to appreciate how usable and refined this feels. And honestly, that's what makes the 2026 Cx-20 so interesting. It's not trying to be everything at once. It's not over-designed, overpowered, or overloaded with gimmicks. It feels like Mazda took a step back, looked at how people actually drive today, and built something that fits that lifestyle. So yeah, the Cx-20 might not blow your mind at first glance, but the more you think about it, the more it makes sense. It's modern, efficient, comfortable, and quietly confident. And in a world full of over-the-top cars trying to grab attention, that might be exactly what helps this one stand out. If this really is the direction Mazda is heading in 2026, then honestly, I'm here for it.